Yeah, okay, good morning, afternoon, and evening. It's the guy you should believe in. Dropping heat like every season. Underdog like Willie beaming. Classic like Dom singing. Blasting like bombs ringing. I guess I define winning.
It's officially the postseason.
For majority of teams.
We're 1 week away until the next game being the Super Bowl. I believe I said that right.
Yeah.
Rank the rookies. For me, I'll just say this. This real quick.
Oh, rank the
rookies.
Quarterbacks?
Jayden,
or just all the rookies?
All the rookies.
Oh.
For me, it's Jayden Daniels, Jared Verse. I don't give a shit who else there is. 1 and 2 for me.
In terms of just rookie talent,
Just the best. Like who's like out of everybody who got drafted this year, who was the best? Who won the biggest by getting these guys on their team?
Oh, the Rams. It would go Jared Verse for me, Jayden Daniels, and then probably
You can put Bo there. Bo's shown enough to be that you can respectfully put him there, especially if you're a Broncos fan.
Yeah.
Everybody said you guys had the worst roster. Look what you guys did. You can put Bo Nix in there, man. That's a respectable place to put him.
I'm trying to think about O-line though that went this year. Probably I would give the break to Bo Nix.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'd probably give the break to Bo Nix there. So for me, it would go Jared Verse, Jayden Daniels, Bo Nix, and then probably honestly Malik Neighbors.
Ooh.
Just because you absolutely have a rock star.
Mm-hmm.
There is no question he is now your Saquon.
Yeah.
If you're the Giants, which I want to talk about them in a little bit, but I think they won big there. The team didn't win, but they now can they build around him?
Yeah.
Is the question, but they really hit on that one. And then I think if I had to go, top 3, it would go Jared Verse, Jayden Daniels, and then Bo Nix probably top 3. And then I probably would put Malik Neighbors at 4, and then maybe rookies. I mean, I think Xavier Worthy's going to play a really big impact, play a really big role over the next couple of years, because that's Tyreek again. If you can put any meat on his body, then I mean you're talking about Tyreek again. So that's a massive win for the Chiefs, I think, in that aspect, because their defense is clearly just very good, and so I think that's a big win for them in terms of situation. That's huge there. For sure. I would say that. Those are probably the 5 for me that really stood out this year. I want to put Brian Thomas Jr. there, but it's just unfortunately he's just going to be a good receiver in a terrible system for a very long time.
Yeah.
It's basically going to be, if they can ever get the quarterback position figured out, where Trevor Lawrence can get it figured out, I should say, then you're going to be looking at Megatron and Matt Stafford basically. Mm-hmm. And that's great. Maybe he's one of the greatest receivers ever, but it doesn't amount to anything in actuality. So I feel bad for him, but that would probably be my top 5.
I'd go Jayden, and then I'd go Jared Verse, and then I'd put Joe Alt because I'm just an O lineman lover, and then I would probably go Malik, and then I would put Brian in there, and then I would have Bo at 6. It's just because he's great, but. I was looking through the O-line
That's surprising for me because you're not a receiver guy.
Yeah, I just really liked him, especially Brian. I really liked Brian this year. But I was looking through the stats, and your Broncos, they actually ranked within the top 10 for O-line. So you guys did have a great O-line. So, I mean, the Commanders did as well, but I mean, obviously.
To me, the reason I put Jared Verse above Jayden Daniels is because Jared Verse is replacing a lock Hall of Famer.
Oh, yeah.
And that defense that they thought was going to be one of the worst defenses, and they were going to have massive issues. Now, obviously, the Commanders were dumpster fire, but I think the coach you got played a massive role in that, and some of the veterans that were brought in that. But Jared Verse kind of single-handedly just changed that defense by himself, is why I put him at 1, to where you're gonna the division that the Rams are in you now have to fear that defense in Jared Verse for the next 10 years potentially. Jayden, that division has enough firepower to where it'll ebb and flow still. He's not going to win that division every year. Now watch me be wrong and they win the division for the next 10 years.
Yeah, our predictions in general this year have been terrible. Me personally, I predicted the Broncos were going to be us. I predicted the Commanders were going to be us. Both of them made the playoffs. Like I've been terrible this year with predictions. So hey, maybe Jayden.
Now that being said, I put Jayden at 2, but I think he's going to win the MVP next year.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think he's going to win the MVP next year, and I think he's going to win the Super Bowl this year.
Whoa! You're just throwing that out? You're just throwing that out casually? Holy shit. Okay. Could you give me a little bit of a breakdown to why Jayden Daniels will win the Super Bowl as a rookie?
History is meant to be broken. It's meant to be rewritten.
Yeah.
And when I look at the Eagles, who they're playing, obviously they're playing. The Commanders are playing away again, but it hasn't stopped them. They went in and they beat the Bucs in Tampa, in a warm weather place. They went into the Lions and they played in a indoor. Now the question will be weather, but they play in DC.
Yeah,
and it's an in-division rival. They've already played them twice this year, and they beat them the last game of the year. Did they have Jalen Hurts? No. But they weren't exactly. I mean, it was a comeback. So I think that plays a huge confidence. That's a huge confidence booster for him, and this is a team that you know very well. And we saw Jalen Hurts get a little banged up at the end of that game, so you got to question how he's going to be. Of course, he's going to play, and he's going to give it his best shot. And if you saw his post-game interview, he was perked out of his mind. It was insane. Dude.
Yeah,
I'll show you the video after the pod, but I mean,
Hurts.
He was Perky Hurts for sure, bro. He was on one. And the way that defense is played, that was the question mark all year, and they've just shown up and shown out. And everyone's talking about it's so crazy that they go for it so consistently on fourth down. I would too. Yeah. If I've got that guy in the backfield. Yeah. Especially if it's within 2 yards. I completely believe in Jayden, and the body of work, the same way that the Lions went for it all the time on fourth down this year, but they did it in a different way. The Lions obviously just manhandled you with the offensive line, so you kind of need a certain down and distance. But I mean, the Commanders were going for it all over the place this year. I mean, 4th and 5, 4th and 7, 4th and 8, 4th and 4th and a mile. They were going for it, and that is the practice thing of we go for it all year so we can do it in playoff games. Yeah, and so that we have the ability in the fourth quarter to play 4 downs. You're playing with 3, we're playing with 4. Yeah, and when you're playing the Eagles, that's massively important because we know the brotherly shove, the tush push. Yeah. It's massive. You have a Saquon Barkley on the other side of the field. Massive. The way that I thought the Lions were going to control games and that they could take 8 minutes off the clock, the way and how aggressive that the Commanders are and the ability, how mistake free they are. Yeah.
How explosive they are too.
Yeah, they can be very explosive. They don't make mistakes. Yeah, Jayden just doesn't make mistakes.
Jayden's ability to stay calm is so crazy. The few games we've been able to watch for Jayden Daniels, he's always smiling, in between plays. He's never serious at all. He's always just carefree, just balling out.
He's just very even kill. And I just think the mistake freeness is going to be huge because. How the Eagles have won, even in that Rams game, it was mistakes. Yeah. So I get that, and again, it was that whole thing of they're gonna run into an offense at some point that has a pulse, and they've been able to stop them. Whatever. That's the argument that they've been able to stop those offenses. That's why they haven't run into one. But it's mistakes. Again, it's mistakes. Yeah. All of the wins they won, did they force some of the mistakes? Yes. But I look at those games, and I mean the Rams have 1 down to win the game. Yeah. They're They had no business being in that game.
Yeah.
Personnel-wise, the weather, like they're an LA team who won their division and had to play a road playoff game after winning the division. They're an indoor LA team playing out in the snow. Mm-hmm. They just marched you down the field in the last 3 minutes without, they've had issues with running the ball. They've had turnovers. Mm-hmm. All this stuff has happened, and they're still in this game. Everything's too tight for me. It's the same thing of why I think, and we'll talk about this more, but it's the same reason why I think that the Bills are going to beat the Chiefs, because it's correction to the mean. At some point it happens. Yeah. At some point the luck runs out. At some point the mistakes stop happening and the bailouts stop happening. And it just feels like going into this game, Jayden's just so even killed. They don't make mistakes, and if they can continue to do that and how aggressive they are and explosive they are, you can open this game up to a score and a half, and then be aggressive through the whole middle 8 when you come out of halftime, if they have the ball or not, and you get a stop, and you can really control the game. Mm-hmm. So I think they can get through the Eagles, and I think whoever they meet in the AFC. Now, it's going to be a really tough game if it's the Bills. But if it's the Chiefs, again, I just think it's got to happen. It's got to happen at some point, and why not be the rookie?
Yeah, for me, I would say if they can keep doing that read option, that RPO, they probably ran it like 50 times versus the Lions, this flipping RPO that just shredded them, because Jayden Daniels is so dangerous. If nobody can shut that down, I don't see anybody being able to shut down their offense.
Well, what makes Jayden Daniels different from Josh Allen, from Patrick Mahomes, from Lamar Jackson is that Jayden Daniels is a pocket quarterback. He just happens to be athletic. He slices and dices you. Where he does his best work is being a pocket quarterback.
That was funny during the draft. Nobody was talking about his legs. I remember somebody said, he can run the ball, but he's not good at running the ball.
I remember it as he's good at running. He can run the ball, but is he going to be big enough to do it in the NFL?
That's
what
it
was for me.
Yeah.
Was that was my worry with him, was he's got a really small frame. I distinctly remember, I'm sure we could go back and pull it, him showing up on the TV and me being like, dude, do you see his shoulders?
I remember that. Yes,
do you
bro.
see his shoulders?
Yeah, I remember
They're
that.
so narrow. Because Drake May went up right after him, and it was and he's got these broad shoulders. He's bigger just in general, but I was like, man, he is a small frame. That is concerning for me if you're going to be running around in the NFL. But the reason he's not as elusive as Lamar. Yeah. He's not as straight line speed as Lamar. He's not a tank like Josh Allen. Yeah. He's not as crafty as Patrick Mahomes. He's just aware because he is running to then open up the pass game. He passes and then it just happens to open up the run game because he's so dangerous. Yeah. And then he's elusive enough to where he's just able to dart around. He's not making guys miss, but he's just elusive enough to dart around and make smart moves, and he's not afraid to just go out of bounds. That's the other thing I love about him. He's I'm not going to run over you. Yeah. I'm not Jalen Hurts. Yeah. I'm not Jalen Hurts. I'm not a fullback. I'm not Josh Allen. I'm going to go out of bounds and just keep myself healthy, live to see another day. Yeah. If I can get their offense is predicated on 3 to 5 yards on first down, and if I can get it with my legs, great. I'm not going to try and fight for more because I can just come back the next play and dice you with my arm. Yeah,
I think if I could pin it to one thing that he does better than all the other rookies, maybe even better than some of the quarterbacks in the NFL, decision making. When he breaks the pocket, it's not with CJ Stroud, you just got to run, or you just got to throw. He's doing it.
You never hear me in the games that we've watched of him. You don't hear me going, just go. Just go. And you hear me say it all the time with Bo, where I'm just just go. Get out. Go. Just go.
Same thing with CJ,
just make your decision. Go. You never hear it from me because because there are some moments with Bo where he snaps the ball and you can tell immediately that he's play. I'm out of here. Yeah. And but at the same time, he doesn't give the pass play a chance. Jayden understands in a way that's beyond his years of very quickly being able to survey and understand, okay, I checked it out. Maybe I'm going to run here, and maybe at the last second I'll throw something, but most likely I'm just going to take off and then just get out of bounds and just make my mind up. So I really believe in that team from what we've seen, and if oddly enough, I think Brian Robinson is a major factor in this. Yeah. Can he do enough to just keep them on schedule to where they don't have to be in a lot of those situations, but when they are, be explosive, win those fourth downs.
Yeah. I made a video about this, and I posted it on Instagram. You'll probably agree with this because it's kind of the same like Ben Johnson type of take where you want him to stay. I'm so worried about the Commanders and the run that they are on because it is going to screw over the entire league because everyone is going to try and replicate this of like get a new head coach, get a rookie QB, and then go to the playoffs, maybe even the Super Bowl. Yep. And not everyone can do that. It's the same thing like how you're saying Ben Johnson should stay instead of going. You know, you need that experience. It's a copycat league. It is. Everybody copies what's working, and with the Texans being so flipping good, and they made it to the playoffs, and then now the Commanders with a rookie QB. I'm worried that everybody's going to try and copy this formula of getting a new offensive coordinator, a new head coach, and a rookie QB. And if you guys can't make it to the playoffs, you restart. I'm worried. I truly am worried about that.
Well, there's two ways to go about it. There's a couple different ways to go about it. Well, the Commanders is definitely an outlier because we didn't think the defense was worth anything.
Yeah.
With the Texans, to me, it's not the end of the world if you copy that because with the year that they had this year where they had kind of ebbs and flows, they were a really good team, but they had ebbs and flows, they had downs. Yeah. It does set sort of a role model for what are we talking about? I agree with you. There's going to be a lot of teams that are dumb and try and see all the rookie success and everything. But, I mean, at the end of the day, you got to have the...
Not everyone's Jayden Daniels. Not everyone's Patrick Mahomes.
But also, not everyone is... not everyone is Sean Payton. Not everyone is Jim Harbaugh. Not everyone is DeMeco Ryan. Not everyone is... Dan Quinn. Not Dan Quinn. Like,
Andy Reid. You know?
Right, exactly. That's the other part of it, too, is you can take the quarterback out of it. Not everyone is even like a system that people might copy to is the Viking system. Not everyone is Kevin O'Connell. Yeah. So, you know, I agree with you. I think there's a lot of brain rot, and unfortunately, we're headed into kind of what the NBA is right now, where there's going to be a large division for a while between the top and the bottom, and there's not going to be a lot of middle guys. And I think that, unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of teams that get stuck in the middle. Yeah.
But I hope not. I hope that our way of doing the draft compared to the NBA is so superior that it does still allow for a couple of teams to be able to pop up in there.
Well, but that's the thing. There will be teams every year. Yeah. But the question is sustainability, obviously. Yeah. Because 100%. There's always moving pieces. That's the other thing, too. The schedule changes. Mm-hmm. In the NBA, you play everyone a lot. Yeah. Like, you play everyone in the league multiple times. And that's who you're playing because there's 82 games. In the NFL, you play your division, obviously, and you play two other divisions. Yeah. And that's it. Every year. So you're basically playing 3 divisions every year. Mm-hmm. And so the schedules change a lot. So there's people who overachieve because of their schedule some years. There's people who underachieve. There's teams who are just, and then there's teams that are just really good. So hopefully, you know, that's a whole nother conversation. But I think with the way, maybe I'm wrong because the lines got broken up, and maybe that's the ecosystem is that every good team, anytime a team has a really good poached. Year, people get poached. So maybe it keeps the league competitive. But I think the AFC is going to pretty much be, like if you told me for the next 4 years that the same 4 teams won their divisions, I don't I'm not going to disagree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, good morning, afternoon, and evening. It's the guy you should believe in. Dropping heat like every season. Underdog like Willie Beeman. Classic like Dom singing. Blasting like bombs ringing. I guess I